you can see the differences in color. What this tells you is that the kind of water you use for boiling your herbs actually can matter depending on the type of illness you want to treat or the type of herb you are boiling. Look at it. Here are some soursop leaves that I got, and I want to show you how the pH of the water you will use to boil these leaves will affect the chemistry of the plant chemicals that are released and also affect the medicinal properties of your tea. So I'm going to pour distilled water into 2 beakers, the same 100 mils, and I'm going to add a little bit of bicarbonate of soda into one of the beakers that has distilled water. That is going to turn the water alkaline. Then I'm going to take 1 leaf each and I'm going to shred it into pieces, so that it can be able to extract better, and put it in each of the beakers. 1 leaf in the beaker that has distilled water, 1 leaf in the beaker that has alkaline water. So let's get a little bit technical. So the distilled water has what is called a pH of 7, while alkaline is pH above 7. So anything below 7 is acidic, anything above 7 is alkaline. Of course, you can now see the difference is clear in terms of color. You will see the alkaline one is darker, while the one boiled in distilled water is yellow. One is red, one is yellow. So the pH of the water you use for boiling herbs can actually matter. How acidic or neutral or alkaline the water you are using matters, because it can affect what you will extract from the plant, and it will also affect the medicinal properties. I'm doing this with this plant so that you can see visibly the color changes. In some plants, you do not see the color, but there are definitely changes. Okay guys, so this was what I was explaining. This is the one extracted with distilled water. You can see that it is yellow. This is the one extracted with alkaline water. You can see that it is reddish. Now, of course, not all waters or sources of water are as alkaline as pH 8. I mean natural sources of water, because what people have in their house, maybe they have a well or something, or a borehole. If it is alkaline, it might be 7.8 or 7 point something. Do you understand? Yes. So you can see the differences in color. Now, what this tells you is that the kind of water you use for boiling your herbs actually can matter depending on the type of illness you want to treat or the type of herb you are boiling. Look at it. You can see. So let's talk about the chemistry and how the pH of the water used to boil the herb affects the chemistry and affects the medicinal properties. So the water or the neutral tea made with normal neutral water that has pH 7 would extract polyphenols, some types of flavonoids, some phenolic acids, tannins, and some alkaloids. Now, neither of the 2 extracts will extract acetogenins in appreciable amounts. So the acetogenins are the anti-cancer, well-known anti-cancer plants. So I just want you guys to know that these 2 teas will not extract the anti-cancer compounds in the soursop leaves, but they will extract different things. Now, when you increase the pH, and in this case I increase the pH to 8, so what will happen is that the cell walls on the leaves can loosen up and release some additional compounds. Some types of phenolic acids are going to be released, some types of flavonoids are going to be released. Then if you have hydrolyzable tannins in the tea, the one you boil in water, if you alkalinize it, they will polymerize, meaning they will form long chains. So things like chlorogenic acid will break down. Things like catechins, which are present in the tea, will also break down and form other compounds which have their own medicinal properties. So I went ahead to compare the 2 teas and tell you how medicinal they are for different things. So we'll come to that. But first of all, what you need to know that is responsible for that color, let me show you. So what is responsible for these colors? Quercetin is usually this color at pH 7. When you increase the pH, it can turn reddish. That's number 1 compound that is responsible for this change of color that you can see. Then chlorogenic acid, when you alkalinize the water, it will break down and form caffeic acid and quinones like quinic acid. And finally, the tannins that are hydrolyzable will hydrolyze, and they usually form this type of color. So you see that the color is quite deep. Okay, the color is quite deep. So let's call the 2 teas neutral tea, which is the one I made with at the neutral pH of 7, that's distilled water, and let's call the alkaline tea alkaline tea. So what are the antioxidant properties of the neutral tea versus the alkaline tea? So the neutral tea is more antioxidant than the alkaline tea. In terms of anti-inflammatory properties, they are both ranked the same. So for antimicrobial properties or effects against infections, the alkaline tea is more effective against infections because of the tannins that are hydrolyzable. So when you increase the pH and you hydrolyze those tannins, they form compounds that can bind to proteins in microorganisms, germs, bacteria, fungi, and all that. So it is the alkaline tea is better for treating infections than the non-alkaline tea. Then when it comes to central nervous system effects, what I mean is the effect on your brain and your spinal cord in terms of the two extracts. You hear some people that say, oh, when I boil soursop tea, when I drink it, I sleep. Those are central nervous system effects. It is more effective with the one boiled with neutral pH than the one boiled with alkaline pH. Why? Because the neutral pH extracts more alkaloids than the alkaline pH, alkaline tea. So this is how your water, the water that you use for boiling your herbs, can affect the medicinal properties of your herbs. So a person will have their water source to be more alkaline, and they want to get soursop leaves to improve their sleep. But when they boil it, what happens? There is not enough alkaloids that are extracted into their tea, and what happens? They don't fall asleep. But it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the herbs. You understand? So plant chemistry is very, very, very fascinating. That's why sometimes I don't know how people are able to manage to do herbal medicine without understanding plant chemistry and understanding how different things can affect the medicinal properties of the herbs that you are boiling, including the pH of the water that you are using to boil your herbs.